Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, we take a look at the intuitive wisdom and guidance from the unseen, and we go as guided. And I am beaming. Why? Because it is 8/23/23. So 855. And 855 and 8, the number of it is the month of August, and so, but it's also this month of infinity and eternity, things that are going to be lasting. And then the 55 in the ancient wisdom of the I Ching, 55 is known as abundance or great abundance. And so I'm beaming because there's going to be, and with this is this remembrance. It's a reminder about our lineage, our ancestry, our lifetimes, our birthrights. So it's all very exciting. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Olivia, as you're joining from around the globe. Put a shout out in the comments. Let us know you're there. And remember, throughout the broadcast, we take your questions, the unseen, we take your questions and comments live. We incorporate them because it is such a rich tapestry and experience with all of you. So again, welcome. Let me just start off with our main theme. Welcome, Lorna. Good morning. And they're saying to me, no, we want you to start off with the main energies. So, okay, we're going to go right into the main energies. So let's take a look at these main energies. The first one is 8. It's uniting. It's unite. It's about coming together. And remember, welcome, Alicia. And remember, 8, this month, August is an 8 month. Yes, all next year is an 8 month. And so no matter what it looks like on the world stage, no matter what it may look like in our individual personal lives, because the next number, again, the 23, this splitting apart, it is to regenerate. So the 8 is about coming together. And yes, we have to do the works, which is about splitting apart. But the beauty of the 23, and there's double 23s, is the fact, so it's a doubling down. It's a putting your money where your mouth is. We have all these, put up or shut up. We have all these idioms about our commitments, that we are making a commitment to ourself, to our soul self. And thus, the deliverance of this, the promise, the deliverance, because the 7 is the foundation of God's word. It's the promise. So here is this uniting. So all of next year is the coming together, the bringing it all together, the new. The 23 becomes a 5. And the 5 is nourished while waiting, and for us to have patience. But patience can be, yes, it can be just mind-numbing, right? Patience. And yet, at the same time, it is in the patience is this activity. It's active. Patience means that we, in essence, we bide our time, but we do it in a step-by-step manner. We do what we can in the moment, knowing that we're nourished while waiting. And so splitting apart, uniting, being nourished while we wait. The 7, we have everything we need. We've talked about 7. It's really this correct discipline. And you will see in today's main theme, which we're going to move to in a second, how important that is. This correct discipline, this mindset of proactive, to be proactive, to be in it to win it. And then 20, in this beautiful 20 that we've had before, contemplation, this view that we have a higher vantage point, because the 8/23 2023 becomes a 20, which becomes a 2. And just going to bring up that really beautiful image. Remember that all-seeing eye, that golden apple, this ancient wisdom, and that it's a higher overview. that is the energy. That is the arc of destiny. That is where we are moving to. And thereby they are preparing us. They have been preparing us this entire journey. Now, let's then look at what our main theme is. And pardon me, our main theme is Noblesse Oblige. And with time to act, strike while the iron is hot. The beautiful image, this just radiating, and look at this golden yellow light, and yet kind of ominous storm clouds. The West Coast just had the first time in, I think, 84 years, a hurricane that turned into a tropical storm. And so, and it came right up through Baja, Mexico, and California, and up through San Diego, LA, into the high desert, up into Nevada. The point and the reason that I'm bringing this up is because of the storm clouds and yet this radiant sun. And last week was Here Comes the Sun. The lower part of this image, strike while the iron is hot. The lower image of this ridge line is, if you were to see the entire image, it is a mine for iron ore. They are mining iron ore, iron. And thereby, and again, you're going to see how this all comes together, but this time to act, strike while the iron is hot, noblesse oblige. And noblesse oblige, I just want to bring up really quickly here and bring myself back. So, noblesse oblige, it is a French saying. It is the inferred responsibility of privileged people to act with generosity and nobility towards those less privileged. So, and it's literally in French, noblesse oblige means literally nobility obligates. French speakers transformed the phrase into a noun, which English speakers picked up in the 19th century. Then, as now, noblesse oblige referred to the unwritten obligation of people from a noble ancestry to act honorably and generously to, with, for others. And so remember, this is about, and as you'll see how with the astrology, this is about remembering no matter your status in life, in position, and especially when you are in a quote unquote higher status, higher position, places of leadership, businesses, corporations, governments, institutions, the wealthy. This is especially true. However, it is also true, they are reminding us, the unseen is reminding us, noblesse oblige, because it is to remember your birthright, your divinity, your nobility. And with that, to act in accordance, correct discipline. And especially as we move into the new, the divine feminine, age of Aquarius, this could not be more truthful, impactful, helpful in moving forward. So big topic, noblesse oblige. Time to act, strike while the iron is hot. Now let's look at and put this, because you're going to see how today is Wednesday, August 23rd. Today, let me just bring up the astro influences, and then we're going to move into a chart. You will see that, and of course, we've been in this, the moment about this energy is masterful moment hyphen breakthrough. And they, the unseen, have been highlighting 8/1 was the super sturgeon full moon. It was the first full moon that happened this month. On 8/8 was the pinnacle of the Lion's Gate. And the Lion's Gate runs from 7/26 to 8/12. Today, the sun enters Virgo, and at the same time, Mercury stations retrograde at 21 degrees Virgo. So this 21 degrees Virgo, and you're going to see how that plays out with the Sabian symbols, this Noblesse Oblige, the divine feminine, and nobility, to remember our nobility. And it doesn't matter, again, please remember, it. Yes, the original form was that kings and queens and nobility had an inherent responsibility to their people, to their charges, to act with grace and consideration, and that it obligates them to do so, treat them properly. However, this is also true, love thy neighbor as thyself, to treat one another, noblesse oblige, to be obligated to treat self and others with kindness, consideration, grace, respect, these types of things. And then again, coming up on August 30th, the super blue moon, it's the second full moon, and it is the largest super moon of the year. It'll be closest in perigee, closest to the earth. So we have this, and this masterful moment and breakthrough is what they're talking about right now, this moment. Well, I want to bring in, before we go to the Sabian symbols, I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to look at the astrological chart for the sun entering Virgo, pardon me. So, because remember, Virgo, the Virgin, Divine Mother, Divine Feminine, the season of harvest. It is when we harvest the crops. It's related to the wine press and so forth. So let's just look at this. We're going to pull it up. Here is the astrological chart from Astro Geek. And what's so amazing about this? So when you can see kind of upper left, you see the red sun at 0 degrees Virgo. That's the sun entering Virgo. What I want you to focus on, though, is the center ring, the inner ring, where you see the red lines and you see the blue lines. So we see a lower solid red line that's running basically from Mars on the left to Neptune on the right. Go above it, you see another solid red running from, Venus on the left to Jupiter on the right. In the mix of all of that, the blue lines, if you follow them, they're basically running, the tip is on the left. It's over at Mars, because Mercury and Mars are together in Virgo. It's over on the left. One point goes off to Jupiter, and Uranus, pardon me. Then it comes down right at Neptune. Then it moves over and goes to Pluto retrograde. It's also Neptune's retrograde. And then it shoots back up. The reason I'm showing you this is when you look at the blue lines in the center, they form what looks like a capsule. Like when we think of, moon landings and then they come back to Earth and there's that capsule, and the way that the bottom is kind of shaped round and then it cones up. What this said to me was discovery, breakthrough. That yes, here are these solid red lines, if you will, these two tiers, but they're being pushed out, broken through. And that there is this quote unquote safe landing, because we are embarking, we've already gone and discovered the new, meaning we've gone out to reach it. We've gone to the beyond to reach the new and bring it back. And by bringing it back, so in essence, it's already within us. There is not only a safe landing, but the exuberance, the joy, the exhilaration of it touching down, landing, And thus, what do we, what is the benefit that we discover, that we receive from this breakthrough, this moment in time, this window, and how that will play out in our lives going forward? And it's just, it gives me, there's a scene in the movie Hidden Figures when I believe it's John Glenn touches down, it splashes down, and they retrieve him somewhere in the Bahamas. But it's that image of the capsule being parachuting down, safely landing, and the eureka moment. It just gave me goosebumps. The eureka moment of that feat, of that accomplishment, of that newness, because it advances. It advanced in that moment back in the 60s. That advanced the world. It's this. This is the same energy, the same information in a way, of course, advanced. So let's look at, and again, so they're asking me to ask all of you, place this in perspective, because again, what it looks like if you're looking out the window, I mean, in a sense, from what just occurred in Maui, what just occurred in California, what's occurring in Texas. It looks like Armageddon. I mean, it looks like the end of the world. Heat beyond craziness, just things falling apart, dismantling, coming undone. 23, splitting apart so as to regenerate. So, yes, it looks like utter madness. It looks like Dearjames and the Unseen. It's like, what is he talking about? Is he not paying attention to what's going on? Yes, and and there's a huge and, because Pluto retrograde, finishing up, tying up loose ends before it officially advances. It's this, and it's not fun and it's not pretty, and yet you can hear, I hope, and see the joy radiating from the inside of me out, because the truth of the matter is the joy, the advancement. Yes, we have to get there. We have to go to the moon and back safely. We have to go beyond where we've ever been before to advance. And yet the promise, the message is safe landings. We will. We will advance, we will receive, we will have a higher octave, a higher knowing. We will, we will, we will. That is the message. And this is how these um, pieces come together. And the noblesse oblige, time to act, strike while the iron is hot. Because remember, it speaks to the fact, and this is a it's in the Bible, but it speaks to, so in Revelations, it speaks to that in the time of the new, the Lord, Master Jesus, will rule with a rod of iron and righteousness, nobility, noblesse oblige. The ideal becomes the new reality. The ideal is harmonious, world peace, goodness, kindness. And they're saying it's time to act. Strike while the iron's hot. And think about an iron. An iron, literally an iron. What does it do? It removes the wrinkles. With heat, with intensity, the iron gets out all the wrinkles. It removes them. Well, it's this, it's to press, it's to smooth out. And there's a fascinating thing that ties to, and what was coming, like the horses, again, and I use these as historical references. So the Bible is a historical reference tool. It's the word. And so And then it also then it speaks about the Armageddon, the horses. Okay, well, horses. Well, then tie, you'll see where I'm going with this, bear with me, that you'll see, and this is from, I'm going to share my window here again. Um, so this is from um, the website Equus, and it says, it was not until the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, Pluto moving into Aquarius, not since the French and American revolutions, not since the Industrial Revolution. So it was not until the dawn of the Industrial Revolution that horseshoe production reached its peak. The 1800s saw the emergence of machines capable of mass producing horseshoes that gave a huge advantage in warfare. And by 1835, a horseshoe manufacturing machine was patented for the first time in the United States. The machine was capable of producing 60 horseshoes per hour. During the American Civil War, horseshoe production turned out to be a significant advantage for the Northern Army's victory as they acquired a horseshoe producing machine. Horses properly equipped with protective gear performed better in the battle on the battlefield compared to horses without shoes. This led to the defeat of the Southern forces in the 1860s. So here again, there's this iron. Horseshoes are made of iron. Yes, they have some aluminum ones, but predominantly iron. North, south. The north node, the south node. Where we're going, what we're leaving behind. The advancement, the overcoming of obstacles, the moving through. There's all these fascinating ties that are historical that tie to what the unseen is demonstrating and showing us about the upcoming age, the new that's present, that is arriving. We are in the final pieces of the old being dismantled, falling away. It's painful, it's not pretty, before advancing into the new. So let me then bring on the another piece here. And this is where the sun in Virgo, so it's literally the natal chart for sun entering Virgo that happens today, as well as Mercury going retrograde. And again, retrogrades typically are they're seen as mayhem, right? I mean, however, this time around, Mercury is going retrograde in one of the two, its home sign, Virgo. Mercury rules both Virgo and Gemini. And so here, it's at home. It's like going, they're saying to me, it's like going on vacation. It's a staycation. So here, Mercury is in Virgo, the sign of Virgo. It's with Mars, and it's going to go retrograde. However, it's at home. And so it's going to be softer. It's going to be more palatable. It's going to be easier to receive. The point, though, is what we're meant to do. And by the end of the year, I believe there's going to be over 6 or 7 of the planets retrograde as we complete the year. And so there's a point of this revisiting, re-examining before we go fully forward. And that's this moment in time right now. However, the promise is this abundance, this 855. It's abundance. That is what is here right now. So connect into it. We don't need to wait. This is nourished while waiting. They're saying to us, it's present right now. You can look around and see it. No matter what's going on, you can find beauty, peace, abundance, joy. It's ample. Does it go on steroids coming up? Yes. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist and isn't present right in the given moment. Okay, so now let's tie in. I'm going to share my screen with you again. And you will see, this is Dane Red Year and the Sabian symbols. Again, there was a medium in San Diego, uh, Elsie Wheeler, I believe is her name, that literally received them, and then she worked with another gentleman. The point that you want to see is it's the middle one on your screen, Virgo 22, because again, the sun is entering at 0 degrees. Mercury is retrograding at 21 degrees. Its shadow started at 8 degrees, and when it goes direct on the 15th of September, it will be at 8 degrees. So this 8, 55, but the point here is it's 21 degrees, not to get you lost. The Sabian symbol, we always advance 1 degree, so it's Virgo 22 degrees, a royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. The certification of aristocratic status at whatever level nobility expresses itself in cultural eminence. So it's about the certification. It's about you, us, me, you, everyone. The certification of aristocratic status. We are being reminded of our nobility, of our divinity, of our aristocratic status at whatever level nobility expresses itself in cultural eminence. Once more, a reference to ancestral achievements occurs among these symbols for the sign Virgo. It is seen here in its most exalted character, for royalty is spoken of traditionally. For royalty is spoken of. Traditionally, the king is the spiritual symbol. The king, the queen, is the spiritual symbol of unity of an integrated community, nation. As a coat of arms is visualized, we are dealing with a status that is not merely personally acquired, but has its roots in a notable past. And remember, everyone's name, you can find a coat of arms for your surname. There's a reason for that, historically. Every great adept has come out of a line of human beings who have made their marks upon human evolution. Spiritual attainment is the result of a series of long, repeated efforts. It is the end of a royal road, Raha Yoga, in the broadest sense of the term, Raha meaning king. This second stage symbol contrasts with the first in that it refers to heredity rather than to the training of youthful raw material. Gautama the Buddha was known occultly as he who comes after his predecessors. So this is reminding us of our ancestry, our lineage, far beyond the current lifetime. The coat of arms represents the collective status, the spiritual office, the big G upstairs. Whoever wears it assumes the responsibility of an office. As the French say, noblesse oblige. Nobility confers upon a man-woman exacting responsibility. The question implied in the symbol is, are you willing, able, and ready to assume a royal office at whatever level it may be? So this and Mercury, communication, Mercury going retrograde at this degree to bring it back to the forefront, to bring it to our consciousness, to bring it to our awareness, to act with royal status in our individual lives. It's not a fairy tale, it's not something on Lifetime. It's not made up. It is to remember your ancient lineage, your ancestral lineage, your divinity, your divine true nature. Noblesse oblige, and to act accordingly. 7, armies, legions, correct discipline. It is to move forward in that lane, that vein. Because again, when it's the only show in town, meaning it's the energy, the ideal becomes the new reality. Anything less dog, that dog doesn't hunt. It doesn't hunt in the new. And the proof of that, the proof in the pudding, look what's happening on a world stage where the underbelly, Pluto, that which was covered up, unseen, is being brought to bear. It's being brought to the light because that dog doesn't hunt anymore. It doesn't go forward. It's gone. Now, what's really great about this, look at the preceding, I'm going to share my screen again. The preceding symbol is 21, a girls' basketball team. Not just any basketball team, a girls' basketball team. Physical training as a means to inculcate the feeling of participation in a collective culture. It has always, we have always been, the ideal from the get-go was a collective culture. We've just strayed so far from it. And, that whole like kill or be killed and, Darwinism and, this, every man for themselves and blah, 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 blah. But humanity, divinity, heaven and earth, it's a collective culture. So here it speaks to basketball presents an interesting symbol. The ball must be thrown into a narrow opening high above the head of the player. The ego consciousness, the ball, must be driven upward to a focal point or circle that is ready to receive it. We've gone beyond, we've gone outside of ourselves, higher up to attain something. In a sense, this parallels what the boys on the merry-go-round, Virgo 6, can do if he succeeds in penetrating the ring with his stick. But there are notable differences. Here the players operate as a team. In the original formulation of the symbol, there was no reference to two teams and thus to the competitive character of the game. What should be stressed here is the formation of a group acting as an organic whole and training itself to operate in a social context. The key thing here is the formation of a group acting as an organic whole. It's to go back to our origin. It is to 24, return. It is to be what we were always intended to be. A group acting as an organic whole. And that we train ourselves to operate in that manner, in that way. This is the first stage of a second level sequence of 5 symbols, as was the symbol of the merry-go-round. A definite type of educational activity is implied with cultural and as well emotional overtones. It implies the training for group integration of girls, the divine feminine, oppressed, suppressed, annihilated, demeaned. And yet here it is, it implies the training for group integration of girls, meaning of a type of consciousness more specifically receptive to collective forces. It is telling us to go back to the beginning, to reach higher so as to integrate our divine feminine consciousness, our divine feminine essence, our divine feminine being that is specifically receptive to collective forces, to unity, to oneness, to kindness, to generosity. It's so amazing. I love this. You can see I'm like, woohoo! Because again, it's reminding us of our truest nature. It is highlighting the very best of us. And again, it is not in any way, shape, or form to leave out the divine masculine, the ego mind personality. On the contrary, it is to bring them into harmony and balance, into oneness and goodness, where 2,000 plus years of patriarchal rule has sidelined this aspect of ourselves. and has placed it in the shadow. It is being brought back to the forefront, like in spades, and powerfully so. They're speaking about royalty, nobility, obligation. It is being brought to the forefront. It is being brought to bear. With this, in one of the first things the unseen gave us for the energies this week, they said, and of course, remember, these energies ripple out. We cover them as they come in, but they ripple out. There is no expiration date on these. So whenever you may join us in the beautiful symphony and the soul family, you're picking up right where you are and coming forward. That they're timeless in that way. So they said launching a new directive, a new endeavor, dispelling the past with an exclamation point. And this dispelling the past, it was about as if we've been under a spell and they are dispelling it. We waking up. So launching a new directive, a new endeavor, dispelling the past. The second thing they gave was breakaway, breakthrough, a thorough examination, of the past. And then they bracketed events. So again, this Pluto retrograde, these retrogrades towards the end of the year, come the new year and really maybe right into the latter part of January. But a lot of this a thorough examination of the past. Because again, it's one of the quotes, how can we know what's right if we don't see what's wrong? So there's an awareness and there's a liberation and there's a reckoning, there's a freedom, there's an empowerment when we recognize what was wrong so that we advance correctly, so that we return correctly. Let me just jump one last thing into, I'm going to share the screen again really quickly and just give you the last one is Virgo 23. A lion tamer dispels his skill and character. The need to tame one's vital energies in order to fulfill one's destiny. Tame one's vital energies in order to fulfill one's destiny. It's a reckoning. It's a coming, pardon me, it's a coming to Jesus. It's an internal review. We see here the development of the concept of training. The true aristocrat is the individual who is in complete control of his or her vital and emotional energies. At the spiritual level, this includes the overcoming of pride, pride in one's strength and mastery, and the pride attached to an exalted status or social office. See, it doesn't matter. What matters, and especially what does matter, is should you be in an exalted status, high office, you're to act noblesse oblige. You're to be obligated to realize it's about service. It is about serving. It is about humility, grace. It's not about hubris and entitlement. It's not about running roughshod over others. In this third stage, the meaning of this phase of development is traditional and evident. The whole process of social, ethical, and occult spiritual conditioning of the individual aims at the control of man's animal nature. The energies of this nature can be put to many uses. Implied in any successful process of taming and training is resoluteness and patience. Nourished while waiting, patience, resoluteness, our commitment to this outcome, to the way, this path, the way, and its ultimate deliverance. That is what these three symbols are speaking to. They are incredibly powerful. So as we move in, put in the comments: is this resonating? Are you getting where we're going? Because that's what's. If we're lost, then I'm not doing a good job at in explaining all of this. Um, However, where we have been lost, it's okay. It's just course correct. realign, and do not become overwhelmed in the moment. Break it all down, because you can, what I'm hearing is, it can be like, Dearjames is saying, this all sounds wonderful and great. However, this is where I am, and I'm just overwhelmed, and I can barely keep my head above water, and. The only thing that's required is that we stop, we suspend that. That's an old story, an old script, an old way, no matter how real it is in the moment, but just allow it to dissipate, allow it to suspend, and then just say, okay, source, okay, symphony, okay, God, okay, Allah, Buddha, however, whatever speaks to your soul. What's the step I can take? What's the one thing I can do in this moment? And then just keep repeating that. That breaks everything down. That makes everything manageable. And all of a sudden, you'll realize that you're completely somewhere else at the end of the day, at the end of the moment, at the end of the week, the month, the year. You'll be somewhere completely different because you didn't allow or afford the moment or the gravity of the energy of the moment to overwhelm you, to overcome you, to keep you immobilized. Because we are going from a fixed energy to fluid. The Aquarian age is all about being fluid. Um, Number 3, they said, like a quote, Swiss timepiece, perfectly crafted, perfectly created, perfectly timed. So this moment, what we're going through, all of us 8 billion souls on the planet, like a Swiss timepiece, perfectly crafted, perfectly operated, perfectly timed. And there's a point, it's called harmonic resonance. When you walk into a shop, a clock shop, a watch shop, over the course of time, every instrument, every clock, every instrument in the shop synchronizes to the same time. They're reminding me in the moment. This also happens with women, with their menstrual cycle and so forth. Over the course of time, if they're in the same space, place, they will harmonic resonance. They will come into harmony with that because it is perfectly crafted, perfectly created, perfectly timed. There is a harmonic resonance which brings in balance, harmony, joy, goodness, positive vibes, positive energy. Number 4, they said it, which is foundational. They said spiritual, quote, happenings hyphen occurrences, your legacy, your inheritance. These symbols have been talking about nobility, ancestral lineage, coat of arms, these things to remind us. So there are spiritual happenings hyphen occurrences, which are your legacy, your inheritance, your birthright. And so it's reminding us to connect back to that era, not to any of the strife or anything, but to the purity of it, the nobility of it, the obligation of it. Connect back into that energy and see how, because it's making me smile, see how that just in everyday life, how it resonates with you, how it has you stand a little taller. It makes you feel good. It makes you think in a higher octave because you're connecting to something real. You're connecting to something that's innate in you. That is your birthright, your inheritance, your legacy. I want to go to our mantra very quickly for this week. Pursuant to my soul's wisdom. So act and operate, go as guided, pursuant to my soul's wisdom. Soul source connection, divine nature, divine essence, your nobility pursuant to my soul's wisdom. And note in the beautiful image the ripple effect that will have within yourself, within your family, your friendships, your office, your world, the ripple effect. Because as we move into this, number 5 is take heed, take pride, humble beginnings. And then it was the best thing. And before I go to that, let me just tell you. So we have take heed. Take heed. When you take heed of what someone, so to take heed, if you take heed of what someone says, or if you pay heed to them, you pay attention to them and consider carefully what they say. So to pay attention, to take heed is to carefully consider, to pay attention to what is being presented, what is being demonstrated. And we're talking about the overall energies here. We're talking about what the unseen is presenting to us and piercing the veil, seeing through it, what resonates. Then take pride. Take pride in something, someone, meaning to feel very pleased about something or someone you are closely connected with. So take heed, pay attention, and then take pride, to be very pleased about it, to have pride in it, to have pride in yourself, to have pride in your home, your friendships, your relationships, your thoughts. It's to have pride, confidence. Um, so, because they said with this take heed, take pride in 5 is about changes. Take heed, take pride, humble beginnings. And then I heard, come out wherever you are. And it's about Glenda, the good witch, and Glenda means fair. Glinda. Glinda is Glenda, but it's Glinda. And it's from The Wizard of Oz. And of course, what happened? Dorothy arrives, the house comes down on the Wicked Witch of the East, and Glinda, the good witch, arrives in that iridescent bubble. She materializes. The Munchkins in Munchkinland are afraid, but she says to them, come out wherever you are, because it's safe. Because Dorothy is there, she's okay, she's not harmful. They're talking about this energy. They're talking about take heed, take pride, humble beginnings. It is to be humble, noblesse oblige, to act with grace, nobility, humility, kindness. Because we are at the beginning, at the return of this. We are at the beginning. And thus it's okay. Come out wherever you are. It's okay. It's safe. It's here. And last but not least, before I get into the quotes and hexagram 55, abundance. They said, and 6 is about spirit and service, and they said, no rest for the weary. And then this is underlined. Abundance awaits you! Exclamation point. So yes, has it been a long road? Is the current state of affairs just overwhelming and tiring and so forth? Yes, it can be. And yet, no rest for the weary. Abundance awaits you. There's a tarot card, and I'm not sure if it's the 8 of Swords or the 10 of Swords. The concept is no matter how challenging or overwhelming it is, you cannot rest until you are safely within the castle, the destination. But the reference is castle, nobility. They're giving me that. I'll post it in the show comments. But it's about don't give up. We are at that anaretic 29th degree, known as the degree of faith. You gotta get to the fortified castle. You gotta get to the other side. Do not give up. Um, with this, so hexagram 55, abundance, and it's known as feng, as in like feng shui, but feng. Its action is fulfill. Its hidden influence, critical mass, adjust. See, we're adjusting. We've reached a tipping point. Its underlining cause, dispersion, flow. We're from fixed to fluid. We're moving. We're going to go with the flow. And dispersion, dispersing the old, dispersing, dispelling the past, dispersing of it to flow. And this is one of our beautiful quotes. Um, when you make your heart like a lake, life will continuously fulfill you. The heart, when you make your heart like a lake, it is a repository, knowing it will be nourished, it will ebb and flow. It is continuous, it will be seasonal, and it will continue to fulfill you. That is one of the most beautiful aspects, is to go about life with an open heart, knowing this to be true. So we go on. In nature, we see how things flow toward increase and decrease. The zenith or height of fullness is expressed in the hexagram of abundance. It is a snapshot of you at an apex point and is very auspicious. However, at the zenith of our fullness, we must keep positive even when events move toward the opposite condition. So remember, we've been at the zenith. So chaos to calm to chaos to calm. We're going to move again. Like the sun at noon that begins to move toward decrease, we hold to the expanded awareness of an abundant state of mind, regardless of how events unfold, because it's to know that the sun is present. SON, SUN. It is to know this. It is to know that that the moon and the sun, these energies, these planets, this birthright, this nobility, it's present, no matter what it looks like. Um, so, like the sun at noon that begins to move toward decrease, we hold to the expanded awareness of an abundant state of mind, regardless of how events unfold. Because the hidden influence is critical mass, there is a warning that the current state of abundance can only be sustained by not hoarding or believing that fullness can be protected. See, this is how we've gotten into the trouble in the first place. That's that every man for themselves instead of that group collective, which is innate. We are love thy brother, like love thy neighbor as thyself, this collective consciousness. And somehow believing that we got to hoard it in order to have it, or that the fullness of it has to be protected instead of letting it flow. What happens with water that is blocked? It becomes stagnant. It must flow outward freely and be shared. See, the energies must be fluid. While this hexagram has a positive message, it can also show a situation that is overwhelming you and you may not be seeing clearly. The clarity of enlightenment comes when awareness is activated through this motion of increase and decrease. This can mean finding peace even while a situation is in decline. See, this is like, yes, on the world stage, institutions, energies, actions are crumbling. They're being dispelled, dispersed. And yet, we can find peace even while the situation is in decline. We can see this. Exactly, Lorna. One for all and all for one. The Three Musketeers, which becomes the Four Musketeers, but the Three Musketeers. Yes, it's in the unity consciousness. That it is in the group gathering, the coming together, the uniting. Number 8. Operating from abundance means that by expecting that everything is moving exactly as it should, we need not hold on to anything. Because our arms are open, nothing comes to threaten our sense of peace. When operating from a state of scarcity, we are afraid of losing and cling too tightly to what we believe we need. See, this is what's happening. Look at some of these events on the world stage where it looks like they're wanting to, roll back time, 100 years, because that was the height of the patriarchal era and rule. And there's this feeling of it being a state of scarcity, this threat that it's leaving, instead of believing that everything is moving forward for us exactly the way it's meant to. And thereby, because we have these open arms, nothing comes to threaten our sense of peace. The lesson of this hexagram is to realize that since abundance exists, it will return. Period. It will return. What did we say in the very beginning? It will, it will, it will. Sometimes our arms need to be set free to embrace fearlessly so that we can receive. For now, enjoy this period where your success shines brightly. Examine whether you are holding to scarcity or abundance. Make peace with the path and trust what is unfolding will lead you where you need to be. Life's only constant is change. So true. And this is from cafeosoul.com, Carrie Hone. That which attains the place in which it belongs is sure to become great. That's a quote. That which attains the place in which it belongs is sure to become great. Where you're meant to be, whom you're meant to be with, what you're meant to do. It's already yours. It's already there. Move forward, move towards it, move with it. Therefore follows the idea of abundance. In the land of Te, you can operate from scarcity or abundance. Scarcity is a kingdom where all of the people are hungry because they do not know how to grow sustenance. They take what they feel is missing and conquer others out of a sense of inadequacy. Operating from the root of scarcity ensures that you will discover opportunities to validate its existence. If you believe there's lack, if you believe that you have to control and conquer, if you believe that it's all, everyone for themselves, you're going to discover opportunities that validate that belief system. Just as if you believe in a state of abundance, limitless abundance, everything, soul's journey, it's already there. Everything that's mine is mine. Cooperation, collaboration, not competition. I don't have to compete for something that's already mine. That's an illusion. Abundance is a kingdom with a horn of plenty, where the people cultivate and share in the knowledge of an inexhaustible source, described as the land of Te or virtue. They know how to make things, but do not hoard. They give, but seek no return. Te is your instinctual endowment where inner promptings help you actualize your destiny. It's being aligned with the simple truth of this. It's being aligned with, where am I? What's my true north? What's my next step? Where is my soul wanting me to go? And then bringing my ego, mind, personality in service, in alignment to that, to effectuate it. That's matriarchal Aquarian rule. Feng is the zenith of abundance, where someone is so full that it overflows. In the image of your overflowing inner reserves, you are not made empty even while you give. You're constantly being renourished, constantly being filled. This is the way of a kingdom of abundance. The master said, when the sun stands at midday, it begins to set. Be not sad. The fullness and emptiness of life wax and wane in the course of time. Perfectly, what was it? Perfectly crafted, perfectly created, perfectly timed. When you make your heart like a lake, life will always fulfill you. The wise stand firm and do not change direction. A gusty wind and downpour cannot last all day. The changing climate always brings sustenance to the garden within. The longest day of the year means that tomorrow ushers in decline. Yet when the days are darker, we spend more time with family celebrating the ways in which we are thankful. Although the sun appears to set and the moon appears to wane, they always remain full. In other words, we're piercing the illusion. Life always moves to fulfill you. But if you are unfulfilled, you have allowed yourself to be filled with something else. What you protect within gives rise to what you encounter. Too much holding on to anything will leave you perplexed. Leave your kingdom and its ways. Take nature as your guide and travel to the land of Te. You stand at the threshold of actualizing abundance. We stand at the threshold of the new, and it is limitless, ever abundant. It always has been. However, this will be the ideal becomes the new reality. It's actualized. Hexagram 55 can show the expansion of consciousness because the simple joy that comes from trusting in unfolding events is something that can never be taken from us. To understand that everything is a reflection of our growth and perfectly what we need to discover in each moment is the basis of enlightenment. And there's just this second quote that I will leave you with, which was covered. Everything flows and nothing abides. Everything gives way and nothing stays fixed. So to the best of your abilities, as we march onward, expand, don't contract. Flow, do not restrict yourself. Purge, release, dispel, cleanse. Do whatever you can in each moment to find the beauty, the joy, and the limitlessness, the abundance. Knowing like a Swiss timepiece, everything is perfectly crafted, perfectly created, and perfectly timed. So with that, I cannot wait to see what the Spirit Source and Symphony, the unseen, and the energies are next week. Because again, it culminates next week is the second full moon in this bookending month of energies. So until then, be well, be peaceful, and obligate yourself to your nobility. Obligate yourself to be higher minded, to be soul centered, and to allow that to ripple out. Until then, be well. Thank you for your comments, your presence, and we will see you next week.